What would you do to get visible abs? Would you give up your favorite food? Would you commit to working out at the gym every single day? Now, I'm not saying you have to do either of those things, but the level of commitment that's required is probably somewhere in that range for most people. And I'm going to talk about the changes that you can make if you are fully committed to having visible abs. Many years ago, I tried to advise a friend of a friend who was trying to lose his belly fat. And I started to make suggestions about things he could change in his lifestyle in order to reduce his calorie intake overall, in order to incorporate more protein, in order to increase his calorie expenditure, primarily through walking, but then also a couple of weight training sessions each week. And as soon as I started to make these suggestions, I got a lot of resistance. He liked to run errands after work, so he didn't have time to get to the gym. And he didn't want to go to the gym beforehand because then he would be sweaty for work. And he didn't have time to take a shower. He didn't want to walk to work even a couple of times a week because he just preferred to take his car. He had a favorite sandwich at a place near his work, which happened to be the highest calorie item on the menu. But he didn't like anything else there, and he didn't feel like bringing his lunch. Each time I tried to make a suggestion, I got pushback about why he didn't want to make that particular change. And you could argue that some of those things are legitimate and maybe it's inconvenient and it doesn't fit in, but I just couldn't find anything that he was willing to change in order to reach his goal of getting rid of his belly fat. And I threw my arms up and said, well, this is also the reason why I no longer just hand out free advice here and there. I only work with people who sign up for my coaching program, and if anyone is looking for free advice, I just direct them here to my YouTube channel where you have over 200 videos that you can check out. If you're looking to get visible abs, you need to be honest with yourself about whether you're willing to make any sacrifices to achieve that goal. Some people are, and others aren't. And that's fine. Visible abs don't really get you anything useful. I mean, you don't have to have visible abs to be at a healthy body weight. You don't have to have visible abs to be in good shape, to be fit, to be strong. It is a little bit of a vanity thing, and that's okay too. We all have our reasons for having these goals. All of that is totally legitimate. But how important is that goal to you really? Are you willing to sacrifice a little bit? Let's assume that you've had the same amount of belly fat for 2 or 3 months. It hasn't gone up or down. So that lifestyle that you're currently living in terms of your physical activity, that includes your active exercise and the other stuff that you do, including walking in your day, and all those nutrition decisions you're making in terms of the quantity of food you're eating, the types of food that you're eating. If you haven't seen any change in your belly fat for a certain period of time, then you are running at maintenance. This is your maintenance level of calories, your maintenance level of activity, and in order to lose that belly fat, you're going to have to get yourself into a calorie deficit. What does that mean? You need to burn off more calories or take in fewer calories. There is some benefit to adjusting your nutrition as well in order to account for things like protein and fiber, because both of those nutrients have a higher TEF, thermic effect of food. Protein is more thermogenic than fat or carbs, so you are burning off slightly more calories by eating more protein. I generally recommend at least 2 weight training sessions a week because your body fat percentage is the ratio of your fat to the lean tissue, and that means muscle, bones, fluids, blood, all of that other stuff, some of which is changeable and some of which is not. You want to get the lean tissue up as much as possible. So in order to build muscle, you're gonna need to do some strength training, as well as taking in enough protein. Now that's the muscle building side. There's not gonna be that many calories burned from the actual workout itself. You do get some EPOC, excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, the extra calories that your body is using after you've done your workout. And that's a little bit greater for weight training than it is for cardio exercise, but it's not that huge anyway, so don't get worried about that. Now, before I specifically talk about cardio exercise, I want to discuss just increasing the overall calories that you're burning over the course of the day. It's not necessarily just NEAT. Non-exercise activity thermogenesis refers to like small movements that you're doing just as you're moving around, the difference between sitting and standing. It can sometimes refer to how much you're walking, but normally we consider that part of the active exercise, depending on the speed that you're walking and if you're walking just on a flat surface compared to if you're hiking up a hill or something like that. That's gonna be in that low intensity, steady state cardio zone. So you're walking, you're burning off more calories, but you're not really improving your cardio fitness. Consistent cardio, about 30 minutes, like 3 or 4 times a week is pretty good. I love doing longer sessions of cardio on the weekend, particularly in the summer. I'm really into biking, so we'll either do the trails or I'll take my son to the bike park and we'll ride around there. So that gives me the opportunity to get my heart rate up a little bit higher. I'll pump it really hard up the hill, and I can feel that when I get to the top, my heart rate is right up. So it's almost like an interval workout, high intensity interval training. For me, it's more about just doing those activities that I enjoy and trying to use those to get a little bit fitter. I am not the kind of person who will just get on the cross trainer at the gym and just be there for like half an hour to an hour thinking about how many calories I'm burning. Probably 20 years ago, I was that person. All I cared about was just burning those calories off. I would just listen to music and just keep working. Obviously, that is still gonna burn off calories, but I really encourage you to find things that you enjoy physically that you can incorporate in your lifestyle without it feeling like torture. And I'm not saying that that journey to getting visible abs is always gonna be a picnic. It's not. There will be periods where you have to do something that you're not really in the mood for. There will be times when you're not gonna be able to eat when you feel a little hungry or you feel a desire for a particular food. But I think it's best to build your system based on foods that you like to eat and activities that you enjoy. That's how you make it sustainable. How can you decrease your intake of high calorie density treat foods while still not being completely deprived all the time? So always include a little bit of a treat. I know for one of my clients, I give him 200 calories of chocolate every day that he can have in order to make his nutrition plan more enjoyable for him, because the rest of the day looks pretty much like lean protein and vegetables. So throwing that little bit of chocolate as a little bit of a reward, I guess it's just a change of mentality about like, I don't have to suffer in order to get the result that I want. Sacrifice is one thing, but then constantly suffering and struggling is another. So it's pretty much about finding your right balance. Visible abs are a reflection of an ongoing commitment to nutrition and exercise. Your calories out have to be sustainable for you. If you are a busy person, you don't have time to spend like an hour and a half in the gym every day. You don't need to. And in that case, you have to shift the focus into calories in, and you really have to be much more precise about how many calories you're taking in. Are you getting enough protein and enough fat in order to keep your appetite stable so that you don't have cravings later on in the day? Because often those cravings will send you down the wrong path. You will start to overeat. You'll go from depriving yourself and then overeating and depriving yourself and overeating. And in the end, you're not gonna see any loss of belly fat. You're gonna end up where you were before. I went through this for years and years, probably a decade. Throughout my 20s, it was deprive, and then binge, and deprive, and then binge, and deprive, and binge. It took a long time for me to work through all of that. If you want to find the strategy that's going to help you lose body fat, check out this video here.